Hello, welcome to Unsung Heroes Tournaments presents Phoenix Cup Pool D. We have a number of great matches lined up for you today. I am Wicked Good. I am joined by Rabobson, and we have for you first off this week we have Nalgadan versus Zamos, and I am very excited to get into it. Happy Saturday, Mr. Rabobson. How are you? How are you today?
I'm fantastic. It's approaching nighttime for me, but I'm very excited to see some people playing, especially Nalgadan, who I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big fan of. So I'm very excited to see this game and to see some pretty fantastic Hearthstone. How are you today, Wicked Good?
I am great. The sun is still out, though I can't see it in my room that I'm casting from that has no windows. And but that's kind of how
Yay!
I like it. So it's all good. And I'm really excited to see this. And I am excited to see this Resurrect Priest in a tournament setting, which is something that has not been very common. And I am super psyched to see it.
Yeah, I mean, because today we don't just have one, we don't even just have two. We've got 3 out of 4 players who have brought this Resurrect Priest. Nalgadan is the only player who elected to not bring it. And interestingly, Phenom has brought not just Resurrect Priest, like the Xerix Cloning Gallery Priest, but he has brought Xerix Cloning Gallery Priest without Xerix Cloning Gallery.
Yeah, so maybe it's like those Garfield minus Garfield cartoon strips where,
Oh my
getting rid
god,
of
I love
Garfield
this.
it makes it better. But that's not we're not here for that match yet. So we have Nalgadon has Taunt Druid, Cube Hunter, even Warlock and Quest Rogue, and his Quest Rogue has been banned. And Zamos has Malygos Druid, Shutterwalk Shaman, Cube Warlock, and that Cloning Gallery Resurrect Priest and his Shutterwalk Shaman has been banned. So
Yeah.
just looking at those lineups for Bobson, what are you thinking about how this is going to end up? What are the keys for victory for both of these players?
Yeah, I mean, well, now Gadan has gone for a pretty conventional lineup, I'd say. Um, it's kind of like the good decks lineup, like Death Rattle Hunter, even Warlock, Quest Rogue are kind of just 3 of the most common decks in any kind of conquest lineup. The Druid being switched from Malygos to Taunt is a little bit interesting, and I'm not entirely sure of the reason behind that. Maybe it's just Nalgadan likes that Druid deck more. I mean, you got to bring a Druid, and you have a multitude of options there. And for his Quest Rogue to have been banned out doesn't really surprise anyone, considering that Zymos is not bringing a purely aggressive strategy. He's got a lot of anti-control himself, and the Quest Rogue would absolutely dominate his entire lineup pretty much. But then Zymos's lineup is a bit more interesting. He's got anti-control, but he's got kind of the less conventional versions, like Q-Block over Evenlock, as it is better against some of these slower decks. The Cloning Gallery Priest just kind of absolutely destroys any kind of slow strategy. Shadowwalk Shaman is pretty well documented, and Malygos Druid is just kind of the best. What some people would say is just kind of consistently the best deck in the game. There's a lot of varying opinions on that, but I'd be kind of inclined to agree. And the fact that the Shadowwalk Shaman has been banned by Nalgadan, I find that quite surprising, because I'd say that the Shaman is actually one of the better matchups for his lineup, and the Cloning Gallery Priest is actually very bad news for Nalgadan overall. Looking at some
Yeah,
stats, it's not good news.
and you would think you would that can't be something that he's been practicing a lot against. I mean, you just don't expect that in a tournament
Yeah.
lineup as much right now. So I would have expected that might get banned out just from sheer lack of familiarity. But apparently, he's worried about that Shutterwalk Shaman, maybe thinking about trying to get this Taunt Druid through the rest of Zamos's lineup and needing to be able to get rid of that Shutterwalk Shaman to not have to worry about it getting hexed away. Though a Psychic Scream is almost as bad.
Yeah, exactly. Because the priest can just stall, and then over time it wins. And without a druid deck that doesn't run Malfurion, doesn't run that much armor gain. So eventually the priest is just going to go that insane resurrect huge amounts of burst damage turn. Because, like, amusingly, you say he may be thinking about getting the taunt druid through, but according to the stats at least, the Priest is actually a worse matchup for Taunt Druid than Shadowbox Shaman is, even though Shadowbox Shaman is a pretty bad matchup for it. So I think it is going to be very important for him to get the Taunt Druid through, and we've just been told that we are about to get into the game ourselves. So let's see what the players decide to queue up with first, and see whether Nagadan can get that Druid through.
So it looks
or whether
like
we see the Priest.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be starting off with that Q block from Zamos and the Taunt Druid that we were just talking about from Nalgadan. And we see Kobold Librarian in the opening hand that should Zamos decide to keep that.
Yeah, I mean, Kobold Librarian is... I don't really think there's any situation where you wouldn't want to keep a Kobold Librarian.
No, I mean, especially in this deck. I mean, you know, you want to start drawing. He gets the Spellstone along with it, so he's immediately going to be able to pump that up to 5 damage right off the bat, which will be very helpful against some of the bigger minions of the Taunt Druid.
Yeah, but crucially, he's got that early Mountain Giant. Because the big way that you win this matchup as a Q block is you can't really afford to go super long, because the Druid, not only does it generate this huge wall, but it will also outvalue you. Even though there's so much value in this Warlock deck, it's still not quite enough.
Yeah. And he gets the Doomsayer to be able to set that up on turn 3, should he choose to do that. We see the ramp in hand in the Wild Growth for Nalgadan, able to set up that Ironwood Golem, and the Skull of Inari right into the hand, right on time.
This hand from Zamos is pretty fantastic. He's got the Giant on 4, he's got the Skull on 5, he can follow up with a Cube. All he needs now is that Demon. He's also got the Umbra to combo with a Cube later on, and he's even got a Possessed Lackey, which could possibly pull some more demons. Of course, Taunt Druid doesn't run any silence effects, so the Warlock is often free to just kind of develop these threats more slowly than they would against other decks. And Nalgadan's going to be thinking about how to... he's going to have to be thinking about a Tugboat Giant, and whether he can do anything to deal with that.
Yeah, and I'm just checking the list, the specific list, and he does run 2 copies of Naturalize, but he does not have those in hand right now, nor does he have a Spellstone, and there he is, the Giant. And this is a bit of a problem. I mean, he can try to take this out over 2 turns with the Swipe, though that's probably not what he's going to be looking to do. May just decide to Nourish for ramp and try to get an answer to it next turn. Seems like
ultimately, he is playing a Druid deck, so getting the mana as soon as possible is pretty core to the game plan.
Yeah.
And he can develop the Skull on 5, which is, that's the old meme, Skull on 5. But he's also going to be looking at this Spellstone and thinking, I'd really like to send this Mountain Giant into Nagadan's face.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything to activate that to get... Well, I guess he can do 5 and then trade in the Kobold and then just get that Giant going face. Unfortunately, I mean, what you really want to do to punish this is cube it, but that's not an option available to Zamos right now either. Well, actually, it is. Sorry, I missed it in the hand. That's something that he could do. He could even send it face and then cube it. Or I guess he's not going to send it face if he uses the cube.
So
but there's a lot of different ways that he can take this turn. And it's just a matter of, what's he prioritizing? Is he prioritizing getting that damage in right now? And in that case, you go with the Spellstone. He could also try to set up this Umbra and then cube it next turn, assuming that it lives. That looks like the way that he's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, this Umbra is such a huge threat putting it down right now. Because not only is there the cube threat, there's just the threat of Lackey on 6. Of course, since the nerf to 6 mana, like it used to be the Umbra on 4 was the threatening play. Now it's Umbra on 5 is the threatening play.
Yeah.
Because he knows that Nalgadan going to 8 mana is going to want to develop one of his big threats, either playing an 8-drop like the Lich King or a Promoted Drake, or coining out Master Oakheart.
Yeah, and the well, it doesn't even need the Naturalize coming into hand. Deciding to face tank the 8 damage to preserve the Naturalize.
Woo!
That's the way I thought this turn was going to go. I thought this was clearly going to be Swipe Naturalize on the Giant. and then burn a card, but deciding to save that naturalized for later, or at least saving that naturalized so that he has access to it for the Hadronox.
Yep, and now Zemos he's essentially back to square one. He had a lot of development there, and now it's kind of... He's actually going to put up this Doomsayer to just stop Nalgadan from developing anything. Nalgadan has the Hadronox, has the Naturalize. He can feel the rush of naturalizing his own Hadronox anytime he wants at this point onwards, but of course there's nothing in the Resurrect pool just yet. There is just a single Iron Golem. I don't think so. The defensive capabilities of the Lich King are really important in this matchup because it shuts out Doom Guards. Because like your 4 attack dragons are very vulnerable to like something like a Doom Guard, hit in, cube, pact, finish it off. The Lich King just kind of shuts all of that out. You really like having just that 8/8 body getting in the way of everything.
Yeah, and I guess you are a few turns away from being able to run that Hadronox play out, but we're going to see the Lackey Pact, it looks like, from Zamos. We'll see all the demons are still on the deck, so it's going to be anything, and you get a Doom Guard out right away.
Yep, there is the Doom Guard, and Zamos is going to be very happy to see it. This is one of those matchups where ideally you just never get a Void Lord until it gets to really late in the stages of the game, at which point you are sometimes kind of trying to fatigue the Druid almost.
So now we see that, you see the Lich King with the Naturalized coming out, and then burning the Gul'dan.
Oh no.
Oh, I was about to question, face tanking that 8 damage, but that makes up for that 8 damage that you had to face tank. Wow, that's going to change the texture of this game immensely, not being able to resurrect any of those demons.
Yeah, that's a tremendous deal for Nalgadan. Like this matchup hinges so much on the value that Gul'dan generates.
Yeah.
Because the Taunt Druid just does intrinsically run so much more value. You need to get like a big board of Void Lords and Doom Guards to kind of swing the board back in your favor before to at least contest the big Hadronox boards. So now Zemos is going to, I'd imagine, one way that he's going to look to win this is through probably Faceless Manipulator on Nalgadan's cube once it does come back down to that.
I mean, he's not that far off either. I mean, we're talking about Gul'dan, but he may not need it. And it looks like right now, this Hadronox is going to come down, but into Doomsayer.
Yep, because Nalgadan...
Plenty of value. Just getting plenty of value.
Because Nalgadan used that Naturalize earlier, he looking away kill off his own Hadronox.
Yeah.
And Zemos, by playing the Doomsayer, gave him the perfect opportunity there. And I think the fact that he just drew that Witching Hour made him even more certain that he wanted to go for this play.
Right.
Now, Zemos just doesn't have very much to do. He's got the skull that he's had the entire game, but he's never drawn a single demon. He's got a Q packed, but he can't bring any demons back. And he's having to use so much of his removal to just deal with these Lich Kings, which keep appearing out of nowhere.
Yeah. And now 2 more are going to be back with this Witching Hour cube play, along with just one golem, and that's a pretty substantial board. I mean, I'm sure Nalgadan's looking at all of his options. I don't know, maybe you want to stall out for 1 turn, but I would think getting 2 Lich Kings and getting 2 more in your pool for the next Witching Hour and the next Hadronox is something that's going to be well better than just playing a Dragon Hatcher or a Drake.
Yeah, we could see like the legendary 6 Lich King Hadronox pool at some point in the game, because the pool is going to be so full of Lich Kings.
That's a lot of Arthas.
Like they say, there must always be a Lich King.
But they say there must always be 1, and right now we're seeing there's 2.
and there's going to be, and there is the Faceless.
Oh my goodness.
And those Death Grips are very likely to hit Void Lords at this point, with the amount of Zemos' deck that he's drawn versus the fact that he has yet to see a single Void Lord. May even pull another cube.
Yeah, or just pull the other Doom Guard and just take away the rest of the burst. I mean, that's relevant too. Because I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know how a Doomguard is ever hitting face through this wall again, but it.
The Doom God feels completely irrelevant. I feel like Nalgadan is now the aggressor. Removing the Void Lords from Zamos' deck would just mean that these Lich Kings are definitely going to face. And what's really unfortunate for Zamos is he's got the Faceless Manipulator, and the cube with the Hadronoxers on was there. That's the thing I mentioned before, but Zamos has unfortunately just not hit a Void Lord at any point this game, so a Hadronox would not do a single thing for him at this point, except maybe bring back a couple of Annoyatrons.
Yeah,
Which would be annoying.
And those haven't died yet, so those could get killed off, or the Hadrox could get killed off, and then they just have literally no value. I don't even know if he's played a taunt yet. Other than right now, the ones that we're seeing on board, but none of them that have died, I don't.
Nope. No taunts have died whatsoever for Zamos. The Annoyatrons would, in order for the cube to get at, for the Hadronox to come out. So it would be a while. It would happen eventually.
Yeah.
And Nalgadan's health has been so low for so long, it just doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you have this just gigantic wall in front of you that you're never getting through, I mean, there's that other Doomguard. I mean, that's a little bit too late. I mean, it's a lot too late if we're being honest, but
yeah, it's been too late for a good while at this point, and Zamos is actually just facing down lethal if Nalgadan can find a way of generating one more armor.
Yeah.
Oh wait, but we can see with the swipe and the death and decay that it is just going to be lethal. Unless there's some kind of, I think Possessed Lackey Defile is one of the only ways that Zamos can... It will pull out a Void Lord, and he can do that alongside the Death Coil to kill off the Lich King. There would be 2 Hadronoxes that come out of the cube for Nalgadan, which would likely be killed off again, but it would keep Zamos alive, and that's all he can really go for. So,
I mean, maybe you could tap into Godfrey, but that doesn't really do anything either. I mean, that just gives you different problems to worry about. And
I've seen some pretty insane Godfrey plays in this particular matchup. There are sometimes. Oh.
Okay.
I thought. Yeah. So.
This is enough at least to keep the game from running away. I mean, this is going to be. It's really just delaying the inevitable. It feels like, though. I mean, we've seen stranger things happen. I wonder if you're Nalgadan, if you could just use that Doom Pact and just what to do. You could use that to pop the Hadronoxes too if you wanted to.
That seems like it would be rushing into things a little bit much. Like Nalgadan has won this game.
Yeah, he doesn't need to do anything really ridiculous.
He's got Naturalize and Death and Decay would allow Nalgadan to push a lot of damage through this turn. Like pushing 10, 13.
Naturalize on the Void Lord, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, one of the other things that he could be doing is just naturalizing one of his Hadronoxes to get more Lich Kings. But he also is going to... I mean, I don't think you really care if you're burning cards at this point because you have everything you need, but it's...
Yeah.
I like this too. Just using the Spellstone and then trade off the 4/3. And then you can use the Death and Decay and push the damage with the 2 Hadronoxes. Oh, actually, it's not even going to do that. Okay.
I think he's Spellstoning one.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like what Nalgadan is doing is just trying to get the most... Because he wants all of these Lich King cards, because how many Lich Kings have we got? We've got 3. 3 Lich Kings. 3 whole Lich Kings. There's a Frostborn as well. That's a
why
deal.
not? Why not?
Frostborn's really good against Void Lords when you have Hadronoxes.
Yeah, well, there's another Void Lord to work through.
I don't think that this one's going to be anywhere near as much of a problem as the last one, considering that there is...
Well, I mean, right now...
There's 45 attack on the board.
Well, only 5 of those minions can attack right now.
Yes, but...
I'm trying to build some suspense. Work with me here.
Yeah.
is too.
Oh no, he's burned the Sleeping Dragon. I think Nalgadan's going to be really regretting that particular mill.
Yeah.
Not anywhere near as much as Zamos is going to be regretting that Gul'dan mill, though. The
Yeah.
Naturalize is going to cause Zamos to finally draw the Lord Godfrey.
There it is.
Really looking for a long time, I think.
That's going to be what saves him, clearly. Not really. Nope, that's
Considering
the
he's
Or
dead.
just looks at the face will just end it.
Yeah, that was a lot of Lich Kings.
Yeah, we were worried about that taunt druid getting through, but you know, we shouldn't have had to worry. All you got to do is, you know, burn Gul'dan. Easy game, easy life.
Yeah, turns out when you mill one card in a game and it's
Yeah.
Gul'dan, doesn't matter. That was a very fortunate mill, but Nalgadan played it well.
Yeah, and I mean, and we were looking at that opening hand, and it just looked like it was a bonanza for the Q block, but just getting rid of that Gul'dan really swung the game, and not getting any of those demons to go with the skull made a big difference too.
Yeah, not getting any demons, but also that turn when Nalgadan decided to face tank the giant just in order to completely clear the board and stop the Q block from snowballing was, I think, really important.
Yeah, and we were questioning it at the time, but it turned out to be really significant. Let him save that Naturalize and be able to use it to much better value later on.
So good job, Nalgadan. And now we get into Evenlock versus Malygos Druid. I think this is one of like the most contested matchups for a lot of players. No one can seem to quite agree. Wow, Zamos has a full golden Malygos.
Into our strength.
Yeah, that's
Malygos
not
Druid.
what you want to see. But, you know, Nalgadan also does not have really anything going on early either, and he doesn't have the coin to be able to get it out an early giant if you draw into it, so...
But-
so he does pick up that Vulgar Homunculus.
But he does have the Skulking Geist.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big deal. And he's got an ooze for the twig that just came into hand for Zamos too. So that's gonna buy him a lot of time.
So he's picking up some of the tools he needs for this matchup. And what a lot of players kind of think to do in this matchup is you save your big threats until after you play the Skulking Geist, so Naturalize no longer becomes as much of a threat. And Zamos here is going to be thinking about how, like, this is, I think, one of the most important parts of playing Malygos Druid, is when you have the coin, Nourish, and Twig in your hand all
Right.
at the same time. It's like, I want to coin the Twig, but I also want to coin Nourish. But if I play the Twig on the following turn, then I'm not coining Nourish anyway.
Yeah,
What to do?
it just, I mean, he does have 2 Arcane Tyrants in the hand for the turn that he does play the Nourish, so he'll be able to build a decent board at that point. And Nalgadan has a lot of cards, but not really anything great to do. He's got a Spellbreaker that he doesn't want to use. He's got a Shroom Brewery that he could heal up Zamos's face if he wants to. Looks like he's gonna Spellbreaker his own Homunculus just to get the minion on board.
Yep, and in doing so, he has made Zamos' life a little bit easier if he wants to play this. Because before he'd have had to take 2 every time he wanted to swing with the Twig. Now, he's free to do whatever he wants with that Twig, but Coin Nourish double Arcane Tyrant seems a little bit too good to pass up.
Yeah, that's a pretty good turn. I mean, that challenges this board pretty well. I mean, not having the taunt on the Homunculus really doesn't matter other than this 1 damage going face, which is, all things considered, is probably helping Nalgadan get to that Hooked Reaver a little bit faster.
Yeah, but
still
that is how
awkward
you
turn.
really... That's really how you want to be approaching this matchup as the Malygos Druid. You want to play hyper aggressively and just kind of push them as low as possible because you have so much damage in the deck. Like, once they're at 12, at any point, Malygos Double Moonfire is lethal. And the Evenlock will want to put themselves quite low anyway because of the Hooked Reavers, but because of they will be life tapping so aggressively to find their threats. The threats, which Nalgadan has still not found any of.
He's finding all of like the utility cards. I mean, he's got a threat on turn 6 with Dread Infernal, but that's going to be delayed by a turn to get the Skulking Geist out, and just really nothing great to do on this turn. He doesn't want to play the Ooze because he wants to save that for the Twig. He doesn't really want to play a Shroom Brewer because he could just do the same thing he did with the Spellbreaker, just heal up the Homunculus for 0.
All these wasted effects on this Homunculus. It looks like he's...
magic shall
Oh,
not
we're
Arcane
gonna
Tyrant.
show that Arcane Tyrant.
got him.
Yeah. So
So let's get
finally the
some more
ramp's
ramp.
showing up.
I mean, what do you mean finally? He just nourished last time.
Well, I mean, he got that right after he nourished. He doesn't really need it right now. I mean, that now it's going to be, three more turns.
This poor druid. He only
Yeah.
got twig and nourish.
It's
Didn't
a hard
get
knock
the.
life. It's first world druid problems.
And now Zamos, he has the dream of the Florist and the Malagos both in hand. So I imagine we're going to see a Florist on the following. I don't even know if Zamos is in such a good position. I don't think he even needs to play Twig this game.
Yeah. I am a bit surprised that he's continuing to draw, though, just in case he would hit something that would be something other than the Malagos.
Well, he's kind of thinking that he hasn't seen any threats from Nalgan, so he is pretty free to develop his own game plan at this point.
Yeah.
Like, he's not under any pressure. He doesn't feel like he needs to armor up with the branching path. He didn't have Spellstone in hand anyway. That would lose a lot of effect, and that as we see. The Geist is going to come down, and it's actually... I'd say the Geist, in the position that Nalgan is in, is actually helping Zamos out.
Yeah. I was thinking that too, because it's getting 4 cards out of the way that Zamos really doesn't want to draw right now. He doesn't need Spellstones. He doesn't need Naturalizes. He just needs to find his burn.
Yeah,
And
like,
he doesn't really even need that much of it, all things considered.
Yeah, and I wonder if Nalgadan would have been better off just playing the Dread Infernal there. Because Geist is only... Well, we're just going to see the Malagos come down. I really like this from... He's seen double spell. This Even Warlock does not run the Siphon Soul.
Right.
There is no answer. And Nalgadan being hugely punished for those tempo spells we saw earlier.
Yeah, and really still nothing going on for him. I mean, he could... I don't even know what he could do. I mean, he could Hellfire. Hellfire doesn't even really do anything to get him down because he can't get himself.
It lowers his health.
Yeah, but not enough. I mean, it's going to lower his health to make it easier for Zamos to kill him, but not enough to get the Hook Reaver in the way.
Yeah, especially on 7 mana.
Yeah, and 9. But I mean, I would imagine that we're going to see Zamos try to draw into something with these Ferocious Howls, though he is a little bit off still.
He is.
So 9 from the swipe plus 4 from the Malagos is 13, which would put Nalgadan at 5.
And he has 2 Ferocious Howls to hit the other moon, which
Yeah.
would just be lethal. And of course, the swipe to the face is going to deal 6 auxiliary damage to Nalgadan's board, which is going to just deal with the Dread Infernal anyway.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you
this
have
is
to do
looking-
it. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go.
And there we go. That is
That'll
just
just do it.
going to be the game to Zamos.
Yep. Don't even need the
that
Ferocious
is-
House.
That is a turn 7 lethal for the Malagos.
That's a fair and balanced Hearthstone deck.
Druid, just doing Druid things, got the Nourish, double retiring, got the Logger. And like I said, didn't need the Twig, didn't need the Florist. Just
Well, I mean, when
played
you just play
tempo
Malagos on,
Malagos.
you just play Malagos on, for 9 mana and just, make sure your opponent can't answer it, and then you don't need the Twig or the Florist. Those are just dead
Yeah.
weight. You should probably just cut them from the deck because they're not helping you win, right?
Exactly. And that was actually just a great recognition of Zamos that he'd seen the double Spirit because he knew that there was no answer possible for Nalgadan on 7 mana with both Spellbreakers gone with no single target removal. He gets go, Tenmo Malagos, you can't kill this, I'm going to win the game.
So we're going on to game 3, and we're going to see that Even Warlock again against the Cube Warlock from
Your
Zamos.
soul shall be
This is a
mine.
matchup I haven't seen for a while. This used to be a really common one. Kind of just after the Witchwood came out, and it was just like, which one's better? Even Lock or Cube Lock? Because Cube Lock is still...
We have turned
deck.
our curse into
But
Yeah.
just the fact that the Even Lock can draw so much more consistently, it's got weapon removal for the most part to deal with the cube, it's got double silence, and they both run Gul'dan. It's going to be... It is a favored position for Nalgadan, but of course, got to make it work, and we did just see Nalgadan draw like complete nothing on the previous
Well, he's got a
game.
giant though, so he's got to join on the coin, and I really like this Doomsayer from Zamos. locking out that giant from Nalgadan. Now with a full hand, is probably just gonna have to toss this plated beetle into the Doomsayer to not burn a card. And we also see Zamos with the Skull of the Minari and 2 demons in hand right now, and a cube. All he needs really is a Dark Pact to be able to start turning this around really quickly the other way.
As well as for Nalgadan to not draw Acidic Swampoos.
Well,
Which,
that
as
would
you can
help
see,
too.
he hasn't.
Yeah.
That's
So
going to be
they-
a
yeah.
huge deal. And if we
Yeah,
see
I-
a Dark Pact, like you say, it's going to be absolutely massive. Zamos is going to play this and
Yeah.
pray.
He doesn't have anything to
does
do
not
about it
see it.
anyway. I mean, I guess he could play the Giggling Inventor, but you know that's pretty likely to get answered by a Defile anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
this is basically one of the reasons why I don't think Q Block has seen as much before. It is so dependent on the weapon.
No.
And the fact that Skeleton Ghost has come down right now from Nalgadan is a really good nod to the fact that the power of Dark Pact in this deck is just insane.
Yeah, and really would have liked that Void Lord to come down to kind of stave off this giant now. I mean, the Doomguard is good, but it's not keeping 12 damage from going straight back at him. I wonder if
It is not.
and without a Dark Pact, whether or not it would have been drawn before the Geist, the cube doesn't really do anything for him right now. He can play the Giggling Inventor and just kind of hope there's not a Mossy Horror in hand, which we can see that there's not right now. But if there is a Mossy Horror, then he basically just loses on the spot. But if he doesn't play it, he pretty much just loses on the spot anyway. So,
Yep, and Zamos is just going to go on counter aggressive. As I think he very much needs to do. If Zamos can survive the early onslaught, though, he should be in a decent position, especially if he picks up Gul'dan relatively soon. As Gul'dan played by a Q block is just so much more powerful than Gul'dan played by an even lock.
oh yeah, yeah.
Two-fours and
Doomguards are a
fours.
little bit better than Hooked Reapers, just a tiny bit.
Yeah, 5/7s with charge versus 4/4, 3/9s with taunt versus 2/4s with taunt. Just not really comparable. So this Void Lord is in fact going to come, and that one Annoyatron just took 12 damage away from hitting Zamos in the face. So good job, Annoyatron. That's why you've become a Paladin skin.
Yeah, and then this Godfrey that's in the hand for Zamos can potentially clean up the rest of this board pretty easily.
Yeah, Godfrey's just
Godfrey's such a good card when it's when it's in a deck that's not going to die before it gets to play him. But yeah,
Godfrey's just such a good card in general.
Yeah. So I don't. He may not even want to yet, just because this Void Lord's gonna soak up so much damage anyway.
He's going to have to be
Don't
quite
even-
wary of Spellbreaker.
Right. Cubing it will take that problem away. Oh, it looks like he's gonna cube. Oh, okay. So he's gonna cube the Doomguard, and then he's going to. He didn't attack with that first though, did he? He needed
No,
to
just-
die before he gets the file to go off.
Yeah, that was a beautiful cube defile play.
Yeah.
I didn't spot that.
Yeah.
And Nalgadan just throws
Wow.
down the concede. That was just such a huge turn from Zamos. Just completely obliterated the board, developed his own huge board in response, and even Warlock's removal, it just isn't strong enough to deal with that kind of swing turn.
Yeah.
Zamos
And,
takes the series up 2-1, and we're gonna see the Priest Wicked.
Finally. I was really impressed with how quickly he saw that defile play too, because I mean, just to even just start looking for it, that was a pretty complex defile turn that he just pulled out of nowhere very quickly.
Yeah, just like 5 seconds. Nope, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna win the game.
Math
Minute,
is easy.
He did.
The light shall
And
bring
now we're getting into this Priest deck versus the Even Warlock. This one, I'm not 100% sure what the Priest is really looking for in the early game. Pretty important card, but he's going to really want to have Shadow Word Death.
Yeah.
It's a one-off for that early giant if it is there. Radiant Elemental, I imagine, probably wouldn't hurt to keep one of them.
Yeah, I don't think you need both. I think you probably would keep one and toss the rest away. I think. Oh, he is going to keep the Shadow Essence. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Psychic
I imagine
Scream will
so.
help.
Shadow Essence in any deck that
have
makes
turned
use of
our
it is
curse into
absurdly
our
powerful
strength.
card.
Well, it
Right.
can be in this deck. It can kind of just be a whole lot of nothing when you need a power card and you get a Gilded Gargoyle. I mean, generally what you're looking for early is you're going to be looking for Shadow Vision, so you're looking for Shadow or Death, one or the other to be able to answer that early giant, but not being hit. The coin being for Zamos means that Nalgadan's an extra turn away from that too, which will also kind of help Zamos get set up and prepare for that giant to come down.
Yep, and speaking of giants, there's the second one.
Yeah.
And now Nalgadan's going to throw down an Acidic Swampoos just to contest its Radiant Elemental, because of course the 2/4 Olga Homunculus wouldn't contest it anywhere near as well.
Yeah. And it's so really no answer from Zamos right now for this giant that's going to come down. He's going to play the Gilded Gargoyle, which will let him get a little bit ahead of the curve. And so he could play. He could play both coins in that Shadow Essence next turn. Try to get an Obsidian statue potentially.
Yeah, the coins do make it a little bit sillier. I always forget about the second coin that Gilded Gargoyle can give you. So I'd be like, it's 5 mana. I'm safe from Psychic Scream for another turn.
Right.
Nope. It's they can play it on 5.
I mean, you could even just trade in, get the coin out of Ziliax, and then next turn be in a position to Psychic Scream. That's something that you could do also.
But you'd use 1 coin. Yeah, it
Or
looks
you could
like
just- Or you could just pass and just take 8 to the face. That's another thing that you can do.
There is a good chunk of healing in this deck.
Yeah.
And the Even Warlock he's going to have to develop, and Nalgadan probably can see he's probably not as dense as I am. He'll go, 5 mana. He's got 2 coins. He wants to play a 7 mana card. What card do priests normally play on 7 mana?
Yeah.
Nalgadan's a smart guy. I'm sure he's going to be pretty aware of the threats that Psychic Scream presents him. So he doesn't want to develop too much, but at the same time he's got to develop because he is the aggressor. It's such an awkward position to be put in. So Nalgadan's going to put out some stuff, but not too much. So Psychic Scream isn't too much of a punish, but in doing so, I think Zamos can just coin a Shadow Essence here.
He
Maybe
could.
even just play Ziliax.
Yeah, I mean, he could do either of those things. It looks like the Ziliax is going to be the play. That will let him heal up some of the 3 and then ideally another 3. Oh, he's not even going to attack with it.
Yeah, I think he just wants to preserve the Divine Shield.
Yeah, and it doesn't really, and none of those trades, it's not like either of those trades is better for him than the other. This way, at least he's not going to be vulnerable to something like a Hellfire, clearing it off and then allowing, at least if he's going to do that, he's going to get that, make sure to get one of those attacks through. So the Spellbreaker is a bit of a punish
Your
for that.
magic shall not
Yeah, this
save
hurts a little bit.
And taking out using that Sun Fury both to take out the Ziliax and also to get the Sun Fury not to have to go back into the deck should Psychic Scream come down, which I would be very surprised if it doesn't.
Yeah, so would I. And
yeah, and there we see it. So we'll be able to see another, at a minimum, another giant, and then a 4-drop come down right after this from Nalgadan. There's the giant.
Yeah.
There's Twilight Drake.
now that is a pretty fantastic follow-up one.
Yeah, Shadow Visions can help. Can find that Shadow Word Death. The Spellstone is only going to resurrect 2, but one of those will almost certainly be Ziliax.
Well, there's a 33% chance that it is not. Just get Radiant and Gilded Gargoyle.
Yeah.
So Spellstone's not particularly appetizing right now.
Yeah, I mean, Shadow Essence is not really great either, because if it pulls something that doesn't have taunt, you just lose.
And the only minion that it could pull that has taunt is the single Obsidian statue.
Right.
It could also pull Malygos, Lich King, Velen, Lyra,
None of those are helpful.
second Radiant, Thanos.
I wonder
There's
if
a
he just Shadow
good
Visions
chance.
Death here.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it doesn't find on the first one, but he can roll again if he wants to.
The crazy thing is,
He's almost got lethal.
yeah, the mind blast with the other Mind Blast
There it is.
hand and the Holy Smite was actually 12 damage, so it was 4 off. But does finally find the death, deals with this giant. Thing is though, that other giant's done the deck, right? He's just gonna play a Lich King here.
He could just win on this next turn because he's got a Holy Smite and a Mind Blast in hand. He could Shadow Essence into a Malygos or a Velen, and that I think that's just it. If he does, right? No, it's gonna be 14. No, it would be 14. If he gets a Malygos, that's lethal. If he gets Velen, it's not.
Yeah, but the Shadow Essence is still, it's a very risky play, but I do wonder if he actually got to take it.
I don't see another shot, right? Like, what else are you doing here? Like, the Spellstone really isn't going to help you.
And it's the Lich King.
Okay, well that's not. I mean, he's not dead on board. Oh no, he's not dead on board. I mean, he's probably dead, but he's not dead on board.
He's close. He's probably dead.
I
but
mean,
he's not
we can see he is
always
with the
dead.
Defile in hand, but you know, there's a whole bunch of ways that Nalgadan can deal with that.
Second Spellbreaker, Spellstone, Hellfire, not upgraded Spellstone, Hellfire double Defile. There are a lot of ways that Zamos was dead there.
It's like a really easy lab puzzle. How do you get lethal in that spot, right? So
Which one card do you need to play to get lethal?
yeah.
Any of them.
So
that's
we're
going
ne-
to be 2-2.
Yeah, so we're gonna see that Death Rattle Hunter finally come out for Nalgadan versus this Resurrect Priest from Zamos. We're gonna see if we can get a win with the Resurrect Priest.
This feels like the matchup that Priest
The
really
light
preys
shall
on.
bring victory.
Psychic Scream against any kind of cube-based, Death Rattle-based deck is just really hard for the Death Rattle deck to deal with. Nalgadan's going to have to get a super aggressive start going very early on. And
Yeah.
for Zabos to probably draw quite badly to have some hopes. But Nalgadan, he has the egg. Step 1.
And I mean that's how you win this against the Priest early is you just get an egg and you start finding the activators and you just let it snowball before the Priest can really start to get their Psychic Screams and some of their other answers coming back the other way.
Yeah.
Candle Shot
Nalga-
doesn't hurt either to just answer this down as it's probably going to come down on 2 just for card draw, I would imagine.
Nalgadan has probably the best hand he could possibly have against easily.
That
He's not
Spider
playing
Bomb's
against
really
you.
good, too. Yeah. And another egg.
Yeah, Zamos is just forced to play a Blood Moon style just to cycle because his hand's looking pretty dead. Draws him Soothing Statue, that's not going to be playable for a good long while.
Yeah, you actually don't want to draw that. You want that to just deck so you can Shadow Essence it. It's actually worse in your hand,
Yeah.
at this point in the game.
Or at any point in the game. It's
Well,
it's a
if you
9
have
mana
9 mana,
4/8.
it's pretty good.
Even then, is it that good?
Yeah, it's not great, no. But
Like even like in the glory days of Big Priest, I say glory very sparingly. Like it was never a card that you actually play because 9 mana cards are just really awkward to play. Zamos has naturally drawn both copies of Psychic Scream, and this is one of those matchups where you probably want to be Shadow Visions in card specifically. So that being removed from the Shadow Visions pool is not great news for Zamos. Now he has to be quite sparing with the Psychic Screams at any point because once those two are gone, that's it.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any, and this is me putting out terrible plays just to see if they're at all viable. I wonder if there's any merit to like Eternal Servituding for 1,000 just to get some card draw going. But that seems a bit drastic, and I
Bad.
would imagine this. Yeah, well, bad is a better word for that. Yes, and a pain on the Houndmaster Shaw will at least
It's ideal.
get some of the bleeding for now.
Yeah, that's really the card that you want using that pain on specifically, as that Hamas Ashore can just really get out of hand.
Yeah. And we see the Devilsaur Egg come down with the cube in hand next turn for Nalgadan. It's got a whole bunch of options. He also does have the Mossy Horror if he wants to use that to activate it. Yeah.
And Zamos, I imagine this Shadow Visions is going to be looking Xeric's Cloning Gap or Shadow Essence.
is fine.
Shadow Essence is, I imagine, the card he's really
Yeah.
need to get something good out of his deck for this Eternal Servitude to start being remotely useful.
Yeah, I mean the good news is that he's drawn a lot other than the statue, a lot of the minions that he wants the Shadow Essence are still in the deck. So he's at least able to get some value out of it, though it may be 2 turns away once he's used the Psychic Scream, because I would imagine there's going to be more pressure on the way from Nalgadan. And I wonder if he's going to be ready to use this cube or not.
I imagine we're not going to see a cube into a
No.
priest 7 mana turn.
Ideally not. That would not be the way to go, I would imagine. But this Mossy Bard activate the egg.
Why not?
Yeah, pretty good. That's enough pressure to force out a Psychic Scream if Zamos has one, which we can see he has plenty.
Oh, he has 2.
Yeah,
It's
well,
about
that's generally plenty.
We have differing definitions of plenty, my friend.
I mean, I'd always like to run 6 of them in my priest decks, but you know, it's two.
Just
two
run
too many.
30 Psychic Screams.
Yeah,
Easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do that in the next Tavern Brawl. I'll make sure to do that.
Oh, God. You make so many friends.
Oh yeah, I'm all for making friends in Tavern Brawl, but this is you get the egg out again for Nalgadan. Just start over. That's probably
Nalgadan
only
really
reasonable-
needs some more high pressure cards. He needs
yeah.
activators specifically, and ideally he wants Katharina to be coming off the top of his deck on the next turn. He's even going to throw out the Spider Bomb because I think he feels like something. When you've seen Zamos do absolutely nothing for so long, there's got to be something like a Lich King, a Coin Obsidian Statue, a Coin Cloning Gallery.
Yeah, you know, that Velen, Coin, Smite, even is going to be something he's not going to want to deal with. Ziliax is not really
Good.
what Zamos was looking for coming out of the Shadow Essence.
That
Not
was
bad. It's going to heal him for 10, but or I guess not. 10,
not
because
off the candle
yeah.
shot because
the candle shot's not going to heal him at all. Yeah.
That was probably one of the worst ones because it's stall. But Zamos has got plenty of stall. He just has no proactive plays, and what he needs to be doing is winning this game at some point.
Yeah, he needs a cloning gallery. He needs a Shadow Essence to pull out something to use all of this burn that's in his hands. Ideally, I mean, he can tap the Devil Sore at least and start working some of this stuff down. But it's just like none of these options do anything to move his own game plan forward. And eventually, Rexxar is going to come down and make this very much more difficult. That's kind of the one saving grace for Zamos right now is that Rexxar hasn't been found yet by Nalgadan.
Well, I mean, I think that's the saving grace for both players at this point. The other player has just not done.
Oh,
there
never
we
mind.
go.
Never mind. This is my
everything that you just said.
Just ignore the last 45 seconds.
Well, now we got a game on our hands here.
Yeah.
This Hunter's Mark and the Rexxar is going to allow Nalgadan to build a beast on this turn.
Yeah.
And if Nalgadan's really lucky, might even... Oh, he's actually not going to preserve the Hunter's Mark on this turn. And
Yeah.
I think I like it. That if you can, probably should. And
Yeah, I mean, you know that these minions are going to die anyway, so you may as well use the health on it to work through. And you know,
start making the biggest... We got a Bear Shark with charge, and that was a fast pick. That was the fastest pick I've ever seen from a player. And Gilded Gargoyle off the top just is not it.
yeah, I mean, you know, you don't have, when Bear Shark's there, you got to hurry. You don't have time to sit around and wait for Bear Shark, you know.
You know, you see Bear Shark off Rexxar, you pick Bear Shark.
Yeah.
You see Stone Toss Boar in the second pool, you pick the Stone Toss Boar.
Like there are
You
a
see
lot
both
of
of them, you are
yeah.
happy. But
There are a
Eternal
lot of
Servitude
complicated-
finally can get something useful. This Obsidian statue, which has been in the hand for so long, which finally got played, is finally going to do a thing.
But what it's going to do ultimately is it's going to make 2 5/5s for Nalgadan. Is probably what it's going to end up doing.
Oh no, because there's egg in the cube, not a...
Oh, there's an egg in the cube, not 5/5s. That's right.
Oh, but there is an Iron Beak Owl with
Yeah,
Lifesteal
with
and
Lifesteal
Rush.
and Rush. Sure, why not?
Yep, let's go.
Yeah, this is not the way that you win the game. This is not when the priest deck, when it draws the cards in the right order, can do some disgusting things. And when it draws bricks like this, I mean, every deck will draw bricks, but the priest deck is like very likely sometimes to just draw a bunch of garbage, and it's like playing like Miracle Rogue back in the day and sitting there with a handful of preps.
Prep, coin,
Yeah.
coin. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looks like he's not even going to go for the on this turn.
Yeah, I
See,
think he
that's-
wants to make sure to pop this cube. If he's going to be killing it off, he wants to be able to pop the cube before he starts playing anything else. This lets him generate a more threatening board. It's actually to his benefit to let that obsidian statue go off rather than silencing it.
Zamos has finally drawn a spellstone.
He could probably,
Let's-
he might even be able to act it to get it pumped up to 3 this turn if he really wants to. I don't think that's really the right play, but he could.
He could.
I mean, he could just play it now, too. I mean, what does he have in the pool? He's got a bunch of obsidian statues. He's very likely to get one out.
There's been 2 obsidian statues. There's been a Ziliax.
Ziliaxes.
There's been 1 gilded gargoyle. 2 if this one dies, and a Thalnos.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's very likely to get one or the other, which will at least help him start working on this board. It's not a terrible play. I mean, he could just Psychic Scream this, too. He'd just trade in the Gargoyle and Psychic Scream. That's also reasonable given what he's looking at.
Yeah, but I imagine what's going to be on his mind is the fact that it is his.
Yeah, and I
Pretty
mean, getting more
intimidating.
beasts into the deck for, you know, for Katharina to go out would be better than whatever else is going to come out.
Yeah, instead
just-
just going to
yeah.
death for now.
Yeah,
Say go.
no reason to overreact.
Oh, it's got the
Rhino.
Rhino with Divine Shield and Poisonous, or just
Sure.
Dire Mole to be able to play right now.
Yeah, can you play the Bear Shark with that? That's going to be 6. No, he's not going to be able to play the Bear Shark with it this turn, but, you know, that's okay.
Could do next turn if he plays a Grizzly this turn. Next turn could be Rhino with Bear Shark, but the Bear Shark does already have charge, so it'll be kind of
Yeah.
wasted. We're just going to see a lot of damage pushed straight to the dome here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this
Now
is-
we're going to see a Psychic Scream. Because this
You have-
Rhino is scary.
Yeah, and you got to be looking at these cards that have been sitting in the hand for a really long time for Zamos. Like all the cards on like the left half of the hand have just been sitting there for.
No one's a coin.
Yeah, you know one's coin. That Psychic Screen's been there from the beginning of the game. He's had that Mind Blast from the beginning of the game. He knows that if a cloning gallery could come out, he's only seen one Radiant Elemental, so there's almost guaranteed to be a Radiant Elemental, and he could just get completely burned down if both the Velen and the Malygos come out.
Yeah, Spellstone does come out. It does get the Obsidian statue, but I'm not sure that I agree with not dealing with the Rhino.
Yeah.
I think if you leave a Rhino board, you are basically just asking for trouble. And
Yeah.
and Nagdan, having held onto this owl on the previous turn when he held onto it when he could have used it previously, but by being a bit more greedy with it, he saved it to be able to push quite a lot of damage.
Yeah.
This
This is just murder on him right now, and that Grizzly's going to protect the rest of this board. I mean, he can trade most of this in, but he's going to be giving back an Obsidian statue, which he's not going to want to do. Lich King is not enough right now.
because Amos he was too greedy with the psychic.
Yeah,
He
I mean, I
needed
guess
to
you
play
could
it last turn.
You could Lich King and Spirit Lash, and that's going to heal you for a pretty good amount. Even
That is a
without
good
even
amount.
without the Lich King on board, you could do that. You could do the Lich King after too.
Yeah, good Spirit Lash, trade in both Gargoyles and Psychic Scream.
Yeah. They bring him up to 17. You're still giving over an Obsidian statue, but I don't think that's really your concern right now. Your concern is just getting this, because I mean, you're gonna have another 10 mana worth of beats charging at your face if you don't deal with that Rhino pretty soon.
Now, where does this Gargoyle go? It goes to the face.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like
you don't mind
three
giving them a
doesn't
Gargoyle. That's actually not bad to give your opponent a Gargoyle, because that's one draw that's not something that's going to be killing you.
It's a draw that's completely useless for the most
Yeah.
part. We see a
Night
Cave
Prowler.
Hydra, we see a Bloat Bat. Both of those are quite decent. We could see a Night Prowler. No minion. And if it does get charged, that's a lot of damage.
If he picks that Night Prowler, this could be the first time in recorded Hearthstone history where that battle cry's gone off.
I have done it before.
Of course you have. I'm sure if anyone would have, it's going to have been you. You'll have found a way.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you play decks
Yeah.
with Rexar, you quite often get offered Night Prowler
Yeah.
for some reason, or you just remember the times it is. But oh, I've never seen this card before. Pretty much
Yeah.
every time it comes down, but we're just going to see a Bear Shark instead. because
Yeah.
Bear Shark.
Why not? Bear Shark with charge is pretty good. There's a Radiant Elemental, which would be great if you had something to do with all this burn.
Warriors of the frozen waste.
And that exploding Blobat is going to be a problem at some point. Frostborn is decent, but probably not what Zamos wants right now.
But crucially, this Lich King is just I was about to
geez.
say it's going to eat up the board, but we just got off an Owl.
Yeah.
Owl with Wind Fury, perhaps.
Yeah.
Owl with Poisonous. But either way, it's an Owl with Wind Fury. There's a Sarah Chain Gang. This Lich King's not going to do anything more. This is going to be another 8 damage to the face.
Zamos needs to find something right now. Eternal Servitude could do something. Could get him another statue. He's had enough die already.
Yeah. Turn 7 shoot into statue might be what he needs to go for here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even with a coin to get the Frostborn down to start building up some taunts in that weapon, it's going to be risky given how low his life total is. But he really just needs to swing for the fences at this point because the deck has just been no cloning gallery. The Shadow Essences have whiffed. Velen and Malygos are nowhere to be found. Just sitting here with all.
Got
of
it.
Well,
Got the statue.
That's going to hold off for the time being, unless Nalgadan could just, will out another owl out the rest of our hero power.
They're even using Withholding Smite just to deal with Wind Fury.
Yeah.
The Wind Fury is quite scary.
Yeah, and I mean, you're able to take that damage off the board, and you kind of
Ooh,
need
the
to.
flanking
There's a
strike.
Flanking strike. So that's also going to put another minion on the board.
Oh, no, that's lethal.
Is it lethal?
Because he can play the Poisonous Death Rattle and then Flanking Strike that. The Death Rattle will go off, clearing the entire board. Oh, wait, no. The lethal
No, because one of those
depe-
minions is going to die.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if so long as it doesn't hit the Bear Shark, it doesn't hit the Bear Shark, and Nalgadan is going to the game and the series.
Wow.
Gets 2 wins against the Cloning Gallery Priest, which was, I think, quite favored on paper, but we just saw it draw nothing,
Yeah.
essentially. There was a very questionable turn there, where I think definitely should have played the Psychic Scream, took something like 15 damage as a result of it, and that ended up being the difference. Like, if Zamos had been on a higher health total going into the mid stage of the game, he was bound to draw something useful very shortly, and he might just have been able to close it out.
Yeah. Yeah,
As
and
it
I mean
stood-
it's not super favored against those two decks, but it is favored against them. But it's if you don't pull, I mean, you just saw him sitting with a whole bunch of the combo pieces in his hand for most of the game, and just couldn't. Even a Lyra would have been enough, right? Like even just getting a Lyra just to get a little bit of extra value, throw those Mind Blasts at face, get something else, get a Free from Amber, get get a Mind Control, something. But just none of the cards that can generate all those extra value, and by the time that he was able to get those Lich Kings out, there were just answers for them. So yeah, I mean that's what happens with this priest deck sometimes, and why sometimes it'll just pull these ridiculous games out of nowhere, and burst down a quest rogue from 35 underneath Valera's stealth. But sometimes it just draws bricks, and that's why you haven't really seen a lot of it, especially in tournament play, I guess. But we'll be able to see what happens in the next round, because we're going to have more big priest action coming up in the next match.
I refuse to call that deck Big Priest.
Well, it wasn't very big in this game. It was kind of medium sized.
It's just generally quite medium. Thanos, Radiant Elementals, you have Gilded Gargoyles. There's a lot of stuff which is demonstratively not big.
Yeah, okay. Resurrect Priest.
I call it
Without-
Resurrect.
minus
Priest.
Resurrect.
There's plenty of Resurrect stuff in there.
Yeah, well, no, but minus the card Resurrect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Rip that.
That's you're a WoW player now, you know all about that. But anyway, so we are so that is going to be it for game 1 of this series, and we'll see Nalgadan move on to the winners match and Zamos moving on to the losers bracket. It is double elimination. And so we're going to take a short break, and then we will have the next match in this pool D for you after a short break to get the next set of players reset. So stay there, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for Unsung Heroes Phoenix Cup Group D. Stay there.
Welcome to my end.